What is up, guys? Finally giving you guys a different view. It's been a while since I've actually done a motor vlog, but I have a brand new helmet. I'm rocking a Simpson finally, and I think it feels amazing on my head. And later on, I'll give you guys a full breakdown of this helmet and how it compares to my Bitwell. But the bike just looks absolutely wicked, guys. I couldn't be happier the way this bike has turned out, and finally kind of getting out and riding it. Now, I still have quite a bit of tuning that needs to be done to the bike, but that's the great thing about having a Tundermax, because having the new exhaust is completely different. So as you can see, it is a TBR shorty pipe. If you saw that video of me installing it and a little bit of the sound clip, but I want to give you guys a cool start of the bike. It just looks absolutely killer. I kind of wish at this point it was a little bit taller to show off that rear brake and not having to bend down for you guys, but the bike just flows in my opinion. I'm really happy though with the 19-inch front wheel on the bike. Looking it up, comparing it to a 16 to a 19, the 19 will handle better than a 16. 16 will kind of give you a little bit more agile at slow speeds, the turn-ins, but for high speed handling, that performance look, the 19 is really the way to go. Especially if I'm comparing it to the way the Sportster feels, the FXR, they both have 19-inch front wheels, and that explains why Harley really put it on those bikes and a lot of other bikes. But what I really like about the Geezer Engineering 3-piece design too is the way the valve stem comes. He really thought that out, because all my other valve stems have been straight down, and it makes it hard to check the air pressure and fill up my tires. Not only the front, but also the rear. And if you ever owned a bagger, the rear has always been a pain, especially when I had spokes on there and having a center stem. Having a 90-degree makes that so much easier because of having the bags on there as well. But as you guys can see, I got the chain kit on there. I do have an axle lock, and I have to run an axle lock. First time I took it out just for a little test ride, it actually came loose. So I'm going to do a full breakdown of the rear end and everything I've done to the bike. But you have to have a chain lock on this setup. But enough being said, let's get this bike started so I can give you guys a cold start over and listen, so you can listen to how this thing sounds. Oh yeah, that sounds so gnarly, guys. Well, guys, it feels absolutely amazing to be back out on this bike, because I really haven't got to ride it since September. Had a little bit of electrical issues, and then going to Georgia, and then starting this major project on this build. So this bike hasn't been out in a long time, and it feels just absolutely amazing to be back out on it, and the way this thing feels right now. So I couldn't be more excited the way it turned out, the way it feels, and just to be back out on the bike in general. I mean, today is absolutely amazing. Had to go to work this morning, and as soon as I got off, I'm like, hey, it's a great day, because the next 2 days it's supposed to be raining, and the wife is down in the beach. So I was like, hey, I gotta get out on this bike finally. And we are. Couldn't be more excited. I know I keep saying that, but you know, It truly is. Now, already off the bat, like I was saying, I got a new helmet set up, so I'm trying it out. It feels amazing on my head. I think it is actually lighter. I'm going to actually weigh both helmets when I do a comparison. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about with talking to you guys is the cheek pads. When I had my bit well, the cheek pads were a lot puffier until they broke in. So it was actually pressing against my cheeks, making it hard to talk. With the Simpson, I haven't had the issue. I mean, I have not worn this helmet except one time to test the bike out real quick, and the cheek pads weren't pushing against my cheeks, making it like, you know. So I'm very happy about that, and it just makes it comfortable. So if this helmet's actually lighter, especially with the camera on the front, that's a good thing. Less wear on my neck. And I think it's actually a little bit quieter. I'm really going to have to see by taking both helmets out, one after the other, and see. And a good way I can kind of test that is by playing my sound system. Because right now I have to really crank my sound system, especially with the new pipe, to be able to hear it. So that's kind of one way I'm going to be able to test it. With the visor down, of course. With both visors up, I can hear the sound system. Now, it still has to be played pretty loud with the new exhaust though. With getting out, I'm not venturing out real far, but I do have something amazing coming up very, very soon. I'm taking the bike to get it dynoed because I really want to see what the new horsepower and torque numbers are. Not that I really can do a seat test because I have ripped on this thing just a little bit, and with the gearing change, it scoots. So I can't really give you guys like a torque or horsepower numbers just by seat because I'm going to say I gained a lot more. But that might be just because of the gearing. So I really want to see what the numbers show on paper of what this thing is. Now, because of where I'm taking it to get it dynoed, I'm not having them actually do a dyno tune on it. They only do that on Power Visions, so I can get my numbers and see what horsepower and torque I have on the bike now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Crazy in here right now. Alright guys, let's get out of here because the traffic's starting to get crazy. I do like stopping at Love's. Friendly people, but right now, with it being spring break, the traffic is crazy. You can tell in there was a lot of people. But I guarantee not as bad as going into a Buc-ee's. But I can tell you, coming down the interstate just a few minutes ago, with having this 19-inch wheel, the handling is so much better. I don't feel like I'm unstable. Not that I really did with a 16-inch wheel, but I do feel a difference. I thought I would, but that just verified it coming down the interstate. and not feeling like I'm going side to side or drifting, because that 19-inch wheel does have a better handling at high speeds. And even though I do my research, that's what it tells me, until I truly feel it, I can't give you 100%. But now I can, that there is a true difference in a 19. Now, having everything done to this bike, it just really feels amazing, the handling. Now, when I was going to change out the 16 to a 19, I thought it was going to lift the front end of the bike up just a little bit, but I really did not notice that at all. So I'm really happy with that as well, because I am a short person. So I can flat foot this thing real easy. I have 13-inch shocks in the rear and stock height in the front. And at one point, I did have this thing lowered, and a lot of that reasoning was for the wife, because with a bagger, it is a little bit wider than my Sportster. And I didn't want to have any complications with touching the ground and her being on the back. So when she really stopped riding, I went back up to a 13 in the rear, and I'm really happy I did that and put the Geezer Engineering suspension on this bike, because having that ground clearance and the travel is so much more comfortable. And really, the way this thing handles and going into turns, I don't feel like I'm going to scrape. I'm just cruising through town right now, guys, and kind of varying the speeds. That's one reason I rode where I did a little bit of stopping at Love's, so that way when I get home, hook it up to the computer and see what the auto map does. And I'll show you guys the difference in the points, where it's adjusting my fuel points to meet the air to fuel ratio it needs. Alright guys, now that it's actually auto map, we can see what the fuel flow is on the front and the rear to the RPMs. And you can see right there, right in the low 2000 RPMs, it needs more fuel down low. But you can see where it's changing up or down through the RPMs. Now these are very little, oh, that's a little bit more change at 3000. Now with the Tundermax and only changing the pipe, I don't really need it dyno tuned again, just dyno run. There is a difference, because just putting it on a dyno and then running it, you're just kind of getting the numbers. But I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.